And we had Joe Shane on the show yesterday. All right. I am trying to get Joe Douglas on the show next week. Hopefully it happens. And, a lot of things about Joe we love, including his transparency, but I don't know if you divulge everything. How close were either the Jets or the Giants to making a big trade?
Okay, so we'll start with the Giants. I know they had some interest in maybe a potential trading for a receiver, and I know they were open to dealing Kenny Golladay. I don't get the sense either was very close. I know they had conversations, and one thing about Joe Shane, where he comes from with Brandon Beane and kind of his schooling, he always takes the call, he always has the conversation, and he always treats it as if it's real, because really you just never know, right? Like you got to be open because you never know when a deal might happen. You got to treat it like it's something that could be real. So they were interested in some receivers. Brandon Cooks was one. It never got close. And I think the problem with the Giants is any deal they would have done would have sort of hurt them in the future. And while they're playing awesome, it's clearly a little more of a rebuilding, retooling year than a load-up year. So, would Brandon Cooks have gotten them over the hump? I don't know. So I don't get the sense they got close.
Mm-hmm.
The Jets didn't sound like they were close on anything. I mean, I know there was the report about them being involved with Bradley Chubb. I never heard that, nor honestly does it make a lot of sense. I know that some people called about Elijah Moore. They were pretty clear that they were not trading him. I mean, unless it was something ridiculous. And then they ended up trading Jacob Martin, which probably allows them to play some younger players anyway. So besides that one, I don't think either got close to a big deal.
Yeah, we asked Joe about the development of Daniel Jones, or really the determination of what they're planning on doing. He said, look, we still have 8 games, basically half the season, 9 games, to be truthful to the midway point with the break, to figure it out. But they didn't bring any more talent around him. How do you think that impacts their conversations around Daniel Jones?
I think they have enough now where they can see what he is. And I think we've maybe seen it. I was thinking about this the other day. I mean, this is going to be my fault if something happens, but he's been healthy thus far. Mm-hmm. So I'll knock on wood. And if it continues to be this way, I think you at least know what you have, which is a really athletic quarterback who can manage the game, who can play well enough to get you in position to win, and with a good running game can get you there. Is he going to be Patrick Mahomes? No. But could he be some sort of game manager plus, like Andy Dalton when he took the Bengals to the playoffs 5 years in a row? Yeah, I think he could. I think they have enough to identify him, to sort of properly evaluate him. And the fact that the offensive line has been better really, really helps with that.
That's no question. Okay, so we're talking to Ian Rapoport here on the Fan Tiki and Tierney Show. Ian, size up the OBJ market, or at least the anticipated market, from the viability in terms of teams that are interested in him and which teams you think he's going to target.
Well, first of all, I saw Joe Shane's comments about Odell. It sounds like at least they'd be open to it, as they should. I don't know how expensive it'll be this year. It'll be probably not that expensive, but I think what Odell would like is something where he knows, all right, I have a home for the following couple of years. If it's back in New York, that's kind of an awesome story. We're looking at December. So if you're looking at probably early December. So think about last year. You're looking at him coming in, learning a system, making an impact, and then helping the last game or two in the playoffs. So it's only going to be a team that's really good. So the Bills, maybe. The Rams, maybe. The Giants, perhaps. Cowboys, maybe. We'll see.
Okay. Yeah. No, I think it's really interesting. Let me jump out of the local market here for a second. It seems like Daniel Snyder, and I asked you this last week, and you said, we'll know when we know, when something changes. This is a drastic shift from I'm never selling to we are hiring Bank of America. What's going to happen here, and why the sudden change?
Okay, so this is dramatic. When we talked about, you'll know, we know. The fact that I almost couldn't believe it. I reached out to his spokesman yesterday to get clarity on his statement, and instead of the usual denials, it was, we're open to anything, which if you're open to selling, usually that means you're going to get an offer that makes you sell. Yeah. So I thought it was significant and dramatic. There's so much going on here. One, there's the owners who clearly want him out, may vote him out. Jim Irsay has said that he thinks they will have the votes. I don't know if they have them right now, but if Snyder feels like he's got to be open to selling, my sense is that he thinks they may have the votes. And then you realize that the Justice Department, as ESPN story said, is investigating the Commanders for financial improprieties, which is like the 6th investigation that's going on. At some point, all these investigations are going to come to fruition and we'll know. So I wonder if this is him getting ahead of some of this.
Yeah, makes sense.
All right. So I want to take you back. I know we're jumping around mostly in market and out, but I want to take it back to the Jets here, or at least get to the Jets from the quarterback spot. Me and Tiki basically started the show with, all right, Zach was awful last week. There was real stark regression. Footwork was basically deplorable, and the way he protected the football was unacceptable. We know he's got talent. He's got a big arm. He's got the slots. He's a good athlete. He missed time this year. He missed time last year. What do you really think, or know, more specifically, what the Jets, or how they view him, and also how the rest of the league views him?
Well, I think the rest of the league views him as someone who's really talented with the ability to throw the football extremely well, but he has not proven anything yet. And I'm not sure that the league is fully convinced about what he is yet. Now, I mean, they probably would have said the same about Daniel Jones, but his issues are more injuries. This is like, we don't know. I think certainly there's some people around the league who doubt how good he is going to be. We've seen him at times be pretty good. You just can't have it like you were last week. And I think if you're the Jets, you're always evaluating. You're always saying, what really do we have? They have a good roster, and the roster is going to get better because these young players are going to get better.
No question.
They have to have a viable quarterback. They just, and if he's going to do what he did last week, it's really not good.
Well, at that point, he's going to have to take a seat and kind of reset a little bit here if it gets back to that point. That's my opinion. And listen, you've covered the league for a long time, well connected. How many? Can you give us a percentage? Because what my fear is that the Jets are married to LaFleur, and I don't think that that's necessarily good. They have a young head coach who I like, a young quarterback who's talented, but also a young OC. So all the years in the NFL, that trifecta, young, how often do you think that actually works?
It has not worked a lot. It is working in Philly. And there's some other places it has worked. But yeah, I mean, I would say I thought the same thing in Denver. I mean, obviously Russell Wilson's veteran, but you got a young head coach and a young coordinator and a lot of young coaches. It has not been good. The one thing I would say about LaFleur is when it has been not Zach, the offenses look pretty good, sometimes really good. And that is like troubling for a couple different reasons, but it makes me think there's something there as long as he can get Zach to learn and figure it out and keep the ball out of the opponent's hands.
All right. Hey, good chat. Ian Rapoport, appreciate it, buddy. Go do your thing. Thanks, dude.
All right. Thanks, man. Take care.
All right.
Thank you, Ian.
Yep. Next Thursday, a week from every Thursday throughout the football season.